The last surviving Israeli hostages are now free, but they still face a long road ahead reacclimating to society. Experts say physical and mental recovery for hostages can take months or even years. The nonprofit Hostage U.S. looks to address this by providing support for wrongfully detained Americans and their families. And Hostage U.S.'s executive director, Liz Cathcart, joins us now from Washington to talk about this. Liz, thanks for joining us here. Here we are the day after these incredibly emotional reunions. First, can you tell us what those initial 24 hours look like after people in similar situations have been released?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me and talking about the recovery phase. So, in those initial moments, of course, it is such a joyous occasion. Like you said, we saw these videos of families reuniting, friends seeing each other for the first time in over 2 years. What they want immediately when they arrive back home is to get their physical health checked out. And in Israel, they have medical centers set up to accept these freed hostages and make sure that they're getting things like injuries from the October 7th attack and that initial day of captivity, any injuries that they incurred then and over the past 2 years, that they're getting those checked out immediately to make sure that any sort of physical health issues can be addressed as the absolute first step in recovery.
And Liz, we know that separation from family and loved ones is incredibly difficult, but on a day-to-day basis, what else do hostages say is the worst part?
Yeah, well, one of the major issues is malnutrition, and that is because of starvation or a poor diet, torture tactics, things like that. And they return home and they have to face these long uphill battles of building back their health just to be able to eat what you and I normally eat on a day to day. Going back to their favorite meal is not going to be something that they're going to be able to do immediately. So things like working to build up their strength physically and from a dietary standpoint is going to be that first step that they have to face.
Yeah, Liz, as you said, it is a very long road ahead for so many of these folks. What are the challenges that come with this newfound freedom? And practically speaking, what is needed to deal with the psychological trauma that these hostages have been through?
Yeah, the mental health challenges and the psychological challenges can be incredibly challenging to deal with, in part because it's not just a moment of trauma. It is 2 years of trauma that they have endured. And also, imagine they're coming home not knowing what happened over these past 2 years. So there's a steep learning curve for them to understand, what did their families go through? Who was fighting for, our freedom? How did that work? And that part of coming to terms with not only, what they've been through themselves, but what their families have been through can bring a lot of emotion, a lot of trauma that they really need to process in the coming months and frankly, years.
And the challenges continue. Liz Cathcart, thank you very much.